you just made them feel a part of, and I like that. And I kept
Oh,
telling Miss Adrian, "Can we bring her back?" And then you came and you sang at our Black History Month, and
mm,
then and then Woundworks, and then we came to Black. It was so much, and I was like, "Yes, I got to have more." So then you came and volunteered. So, um, but one of the things I was looking at of how many years you've been a part of various uh, very important African American organizations such as Great Blacks in Wax,
mhm.
the National Association of Black Storytellers, the Griot Circle of Maryland, which I actually went down to the Arena Players and seen you guys in action. Um,
Okay.
and then the growing Griot's literacy learning program that you do.
Yeah.
Um,
And the word is griot. We say griot.
Griot,
Yeah,
see, learning,
griot.
Griot.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things I try to look at the relationship that it takes to for a community to play a role in the rearing of children, and I wanted you to share that with
Okay.
other parents because sometimes I think that we think that it can only be one sided,
Oh,
and
please. No, well, we know better than that.
mm,
Okay. I would say that especially in the rearing of my children, one of the things I always told people and I always say to people that I was and I am the first teacher of my children. So
mm-hmm,
my children started learning in the womb.
okay,
Okay, in the womb they started learning. I was reading to them and singing to them and different kinds of things like that when they were in the womb. And certainly after they were born, it was very important that I teach them. Okay,
mm,
so I used to tell people my children's room looked like a classroom. Okay, because we are going to learn about something up in this house. And when my children went to the bathroom, particularly the one down in the basement, on the door was the multiplication table. You better learn something up in this camp. So I was running a school. I was
right,
running a school, which I truly think is a parental responsibility.
mm-hmm,
Okay. I tell people I taught my children, they just happened to go to school. Okay, they just happened to go to school. But it was
okay,
my responsibility to to check their homework. And like I would tell them, if you can't explain it to me, then you don't know it. Okay,
okay,
you don't know it. So we got to work on this some more. So those are the kind of things that I did with them, and I certainly exposed them to as many things as I could. I used to tell people we used to go up to the Baltimore Museum of Art when they
mm-hmm,
used to have what they call First Thursdays. That's before it was free,
mm-hmm,
and the kids would come in the evening and they would do an art project with them, or they would have some kind of show or something up there for free. And I would
mm-hmm,
take my children up there, and there would be very few children up there that looked like my children.
mm-hmm.
Okay. But I say, but we were up there so much that we ended up on the brochure for the program. Okay. I guess they're going to say they're going to let see somebody else come up here other than the dominant culture.
I
Yes, but
understand.
you have to put time into your children. Okay. The other thing I did with my children, we went to the library. Okay.
Yes.
We go to the library. We're going to read some books while we up here. Then we're
Then we
going
can
to take
take some
some
home.
books home with us. And we did that regularly, regularly. So you have to put in if you want to get something out. Okay. So that's why I tell people now I am the proudest mother there is in the world. Okay. And every time I get into a conversation, I'm going to slip my children in there some kind of way so that so that you can share and hear how proud I am of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that it takes work. It takes work and determination. Because my thing was, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this well. And the other thing I say about my children, and although my husband and I did not stay together as husband and wife, we stayed together as parents of our children. And that was the most important thing. We stayed together as parents of our children. So even at the programs at school, he be there, I be there. Okay. He
Mm-hmm.
picked them up every day. He picked them up every day and took them. My children never rode the bus. Okay, let me say that. He picked them up every day and took them to school. Most of the times I would pick them up, but that's how we did that. And that's important too. That's very important that children share in the lives of their fathers. Okay, because children are smart enough to come to realize who he is. Okay, whether or not he's somebody you want to emulate or somebody you want to make sure you please, or those kind of things are for the child to learn their self, not for the mother to tell the child don't like him only because she don't like him no more. Or the other thing they do is have the children spy. Okay, like if they with the father, then they want to know who else was with the father and all of that kind of stuff. And what I did when my children went out with their father, all I listened for was whether or not somebody did something to my children I needed to address. Other than that, I don't care if Miss Boogie went with her daughter or Miss Poo Poo took her child, because that ain't my business. Okay, that is not my business. My business was my children. So therefore, I did not put them in an uncomfortable position that they had to choose what they said to me. Okay, they can come back and talk about their whole experience. They don't have to, oh, well, you can't say nothing about somebody was with him or somebody did that or something. No, you can tell me the whole thing, because I'm just listening for one thing, and that's whether or not it's something I need to address as your parent. And that did not happen. So I say, I tell their father all the time, you weren't a good husband, but you were the best father ever. And I would take that any day. I'd take a good father for my children rather than a good husband for myself. Because, see, I'm trying to make them become developed. I know enough that you ain't no good. And the next time I'm looking, then I ain't looking for somebody like you. Okay? I know that. But I'm prepared. I'm preparing them for life. Right. Okay? So I have to be cognizant of the lessons that I teach them and how I teach them. Get out of here. If Stan paid, I'd be rich. Okay. I know that's right.
Auto warranty. Could have been an auto warranty on there.
Yeah, that's a scam. And when it say scam, you know it's scam. Yeah, but that's important. And it hurts my heart a lot of times when I hear how parents use their children in their displeasure with the father, or the mother or whomever. And I tell people all the time, you must love your children more than you hate one another. Okay,
and I would use that. That's a good one.
Please do, because you must love them more than you hate one another. Y'all like yourself when y'all made them. What is the problem now? Now you can't stand one another since the child is here. And how can you talk about the child? It's your child. It's your child. Right. So why aren't you proud of your child? And why don't you do the best for your child to make life better for your child? Okay, your child. So my in fact, this is how deep my things go with my ex. Well, I tell people he's my first, although I ain't got a second. But I think a first sound better than ex. But in Woolworth, which is the theater group that we belong to, one year they did because what I did when Tao turned 50, I wrote him a letter, and I thanked him for being a good father inside of this relationship. Okay, it didn't matter too much that we didn't make it out. We didn't make it, but what I really admired him for was being a father, and that we could get on the phone and we could talk about our children and agree what we were going to do or say about or to them. And that we could go, I mean, my daughter plays softball. They didn't play that well, but I went to them games and he would come and David played football. He would go every time they had a program at school, because they both sang. My children have been singing since they were little. So they both sang on the choir. They ended up going to the Friends School of Baltimore, which their father got them in there. He got them in there because education was very important for him. Because let me say, he's a Nigerian. He came here for the purpose of going to school. Okay. So first of all, he has a respect for education. So he got him into the Friends School of Baltimore, and that's where they went. And at Friends, when they have a program, what time they say it's going to start is the time that it starts. Okay. So if you come up in there all late, first of all, you ain't even going to find nowhere to sit, because I've never seen such parental participation, which is needed. Okay. Because I think your children need to look out in the audience and see you.
That's right.
That's right. They need to see you. I remember one time, before when David was little, and I had some friends that were school teachers, and they told me that the best program that they had going on in the city at that time was at the Barclay School, because they were doing the Calvert curriculum, I think it was. So I said, I'm going to go up there one night to the PTA meeting and just see and hear what's going on. It was hardly nobody at the PTA meeting. Okay. So what is this? But I didn't send him there because I did not want to have to start him off going to school about lying where he lived. Okay. That was a decision. I said, no, he's not going to be lying that he lived closer to this school so he can be in it and that kind of stuff. So he didn't go there. But they never went to public school. My children never went to public school. They went to Christian schools until they went to Friends. Yeah, but even it doesn't really matter where they go. It matters what you do and what you know what's going on with them. Okay, if you are known in the school, if the teacher knows you as the parent of whomever, okay, when something goes down, the teacher gonna let you know. But if you don't go up to school until Boo Boo don't come home with his coat, and then you want to fight everybody up to school because somebody took his coat, so what are you teaching? What are you modeling? What is the point of that? What is the point? So anyway, let me get off of that. What else you want to talk about? Because I can talk about that. I can talk about that forever.
So tell us more about the Discover Me, Recover Me.
Oh, okay. Well, Discover Me, Recover Me is a LLC that David and I have. Okay. And that came out of when David was in, David has been a storyteller since he was 10 years old. Let me start there. Okay. Under the direction and the tutelage of ancestor Mama Murray Carter Smith, who actually heard him, and this happened at the Great Blacks and Wax too, heard him tell a story that she had told on the radio. And he told it in her presence. David was always a kind of upfront and in your face kind of little boy. He really, really was. So, because I tell people all the time, he thought he was Michael Jackson and he could dance from one end of the world to the other. But there was nothing shy about him. And he told that story in her presence. She was in that room. And the next week on her radio show, she talked about the little boy who had told that story. And then after that, she invited him onto her show. Okay, so he would start off reading stories on the show and presentations, whatever she assigned him to do. And she nurtured him in storytelling and that kind of thing. So that's how that started for David. And I, as the parent, see, this is where the parenting comes in. I knew that she was she came out of Griot Circle of Maryland. That's what Mama Murray was in. And I didn't really know what it is. So I started going to the meeting of the Griot Circle of Maryland. And when they asked, for you to introduce yourself, I tell them who I am. And I'm here representing my children. Okay. I don't find out what it is that my children are in. Okay. So my daughter ended up being on her show too. So they were both storytellers when they were growing up. And I later, after they got grown, I said, well, I think I can do that thing too. So I decided I'd be one too. Especially when I found out, particularly as Black storytellers, you can tell the story your way. So I tell my stories mostly using music because music is my strong suit. That's what I really like to do. I like to sing. So I incorporate song into most of my presentations. And that's what I like about it, because people do everything from play instruments to all kinds of stuff in Black storytelling. So it's really a area where you can do you. Okay, that's what we say. You can do you and tell it the way you want to tell it. But Discover Me, Recover Me came out of the other thing I will say about my children. Gosh.
Oh, yeah, talk about your children.
No, I'm going to say this because my sister is 37 years free from drugs and alcohol. And she got clean before I had either of my children. Okay. So, and they're growing up. We used to go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings in support of her. Okay. That's where they grew up. And you will hear them say what they learned being in those rooms and stuff like that. So when they found out that David was a storyteller at Hopkins, when he was in Hopkins doing his PhD, and he had a practicum class, and the teacher suggested that because he was a storyteller, that he should go over to this recovery. It was called Recovery and Community, RICS, over on I think it was Monroe Street or one of those streets, and teach those clients storytelling. Okay. So that's what he did as a practicum. So we got together that day. We went over there. It was me, him, and my sister. We took my sister. Okay. And she shared her experience, strengths and hopes to everybody. And then we started interacting with them. Everybody wasn't talking right off the bat, of course, because everybody didn't really know what was going on. But one of the ways that we do in Discover Me, Recover Me is that we use stories to start conversations. So a lot of times we may tell a story and we may only tell it up to a certain part and then ask those who are listening to end that story based on what they know, based on what they feel, based on what they think. And in that experience, we discovered some truly good storytellers up in Rick, So that is kind of how it started. And after that, I guess it went so well that David decided that we would just make a business out of it. Okay, so we've been using storytelling and virtues in everywhere from the Baltimore station to I was last week, I think I was up at the Village Learning Place or something like that. So we do different kind of things, but basically it's all wrapped around stories and virtues. And we know virtues are gifts of character that we all have. Okay, we may not always tap into them, but we certainly all have them. So that's kind of how that started. So we incorporated in I think it was in 2017. Yeah, 2017 we did that. And it's been going pretty good. I mean, it's been going pretty. We've done conferences and trainings for like the Baltimore City Public School teachers, and we've been as far away as Boston. That we did some service workers, like social service workers and things like that. We interact with people like that and everything. So it's been going well. So that's the Discover Me, Recover Me part of what's going on with us.
Well, that's good. And then you also talked about Womb Works Production.
Yeah, Womb Work Productions, which we've known way before we even joined, because we used to see them all the time when David and them were in the Growing Griots, because we used to be performing at like the museums and everything, and Woundworks would be there with their group, and they would always say, and Mama Kay would always say, when you gonna bring these children to Woundworks? When you gonna bring these children to Woundworks? I say, when I can get some space and time in there to bring them, I'm gonna bring them to Woundworks. But we used to always see them, because I've known Mama Kay and Mama Rashida for years and everything, and they would always be drumming and dancing and stuff, and we'd be there storytelling at most of the same places all the time, particularly in February, when the people actually turn black. Okay.
When they
turn black.
When they turn black. And then you also are part of the Girl Track.
Oh, yeah. Girl Trek is a health movement. And I think I've probably been trekking with them now maybe certainly it was before the pandemic. So maybe about 4 years or so. And I'm going to tell you why I liked Girl Trek. Because I used to walk sometime myself, not as much probably as I should. And I always used to say to myself, I really don't want to have to drive somewhere to walk. I'm going to get in my car and drive all this way just to walk around. So I never liked that. Okay. But what I liked about Girl Trek was that the whole concept and the whole idea is based in history. It's based around Harriet Tubman and her walk to freedom. And that is what just sold it up for me. I see now, that makes sense. Okay, that really makes sense. To teach us something based on something that has happened in our history, in our past, and that kind of stuff. Because that was no joke, to be walking to freedom and then walking back to get some other people to take them to freedom too. Okay, so that's what they say in the Girl Trek. You walk and then you get somebody else to walk with you, or you try to encourage somebody else to walk. And they do a lot of historical presentations and stuff like that. So that was the thing that really sold me on them. But I walk, and they ask that you walk 5 days a week for 30 minutes a day is what they ask. But I do, most days I do, which certainly take me more than 30 minutes. I do between 3 and 4 miles 5 days a week. Okay. And I've been doing that rather consistently since I started Girl Trek. Of course, I missed some days, but this was my first year where last year I walked all through the winter and everything. Girl Trek generally shuts down around, I think it's right after maybe like Thanksgiving. And then they come back in March and stuff. But I walked all winter, so I was really proud of myself. But I haven't. Because a lady down the street that saw me walking one day, and she asked if she could walk with me, and I told her sure she can walk with me. So we walk together most days, and she claimed I'm her inspiration because if I don't walk, she don't go.
That's a good thing. Yeah, because I signed up for girl track. I don't get to. I do more evening.
Well, you can do it, yeah.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah, and I'm a morning person. See, that's about the evening. I'm somewhere trying to go to sleep. Yeah, but I'm a morning person. So we walk in the morning. We're at 6:30 now. We walk 6:30, but have done as early as 6 walk. But we just walk in the community now. It isn't the prettiest walk because I mean, God, you walk past a whole bunch of trash, and it amazes me the kind of things that people throw out as trash up and down the street. Okay, it just amazes me. But we walk about 3 miles together, and sometimes when I come back with her, sometimes I keep on walking, so I might do 4 miles or 4.5 or something like that, or I might come in the house and walk in the house to one of my walk something or something like that. But I just try to keep it moving because I'm a firm believer that if you don't keep it moving, the day gonna come where it ain't gonna move. So that's what I tell myself. I'm trying to keep it moving so that it'll keep moving. Yeah, but I like girl track. That's nice. And then sometimes they do some group walks and stuff because I've certainly done group walks with them down at Canton, which is a pretty walk down in Canton and up in Herman Park. I like Herman Park too. Yeah, and they also do that thing in West Baltimore.
So how often do you come to Herring Run Park? Because I do that. That's a block and a half away from me.
Oh, okay. What time you do Herring Run Park? Because I can meet you up there sometime.
You tell me. I anytime after 4:30, I'm open.
Okay. Well, we'll schedule. Okay.
Because I actually go around. I didn't know how big it was.
How big do you go from side to side? Because I go from back from.
Yeah, because I did not realize
from Harper Road to Sinclair Lane. It's a big
and then
park.
I went up to you go up what is it, Parkside, and you go through. I didn't realize that it was only when you go up to Bel Air Road. I didn't realize it was the other side.
Yeah, that's where David live up that way, Parkside. Yeah, up there. Yeah, because I used to come. I used to drive I used to during the pandemic. I used to walk from my house to David's house, and sometimes I make him bring me back, or sometimes I rest a while and might walk back. Yeah, but I used to walk up to his house and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, but I like that park. That's a nice park.
Yeah, it's quiet. It's very quiet. And then I didn't realize on the other side. So, like when you go up to Bel Air Road,
you can walk it all the way over to Montebello. You can walk it to Montebello.
Really?
Yeah, it goes to Montebello. Now, I don't know how open. It depends on if they finished all that construction and everything. But yeah, you can walk to Montebello and walk right around the lake and then walk back into Herring Run Park and go wherever you want to go. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to investigate that. Because see, I would love to go to the walks with the docs on Sunday. So if I could do that, I could actually do my trek.
Yeah, you ought to come join us and walk with a doc. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
because they have doctors and health professionals and people share stuff about the community and stuff like that. So come along and join us. Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you still doing Drum Talk?
No, we're not doing it anywhere at this point. The last thing we did drum wise was the work we did with the Harper Heights School. I told you we did the program up there, Stop Our Mothers from Crying. And we did some drumming with those young people. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So from everything that we've talked about, you've stressed the importance of parental involvement, community, being the key point, the key member of your children's education.
Yeah, the head teacher, the schoolmaster, whatever name you want to, the dean. That's right. So that's your job. That's your job.
Okay. And what suggestions would you provide to parents who feel like there is a disconnect with how they teach versus how the school teaches?
Well, I don't know if there would be a disconnect, okay? Because first of all, if you teaching your children, probably teaching them things that they not even learning in school. That's number one. Okay, most of the things that I taught my kids, they were not teaching them in school. There's no school you go to where, like, unless it's February, you hear anything black. My children are 365 black. Intentionally, they are 365 black. So you teach that. You teach that. And that, I believe, is what helped them so much when they ended up going to, and my children laughed at me the other day, and I say when they ended up going to a predominantly PWI, and they thought it was funny that I finally said PWI, okay? But because a lot of times when our kids go to those schools, they are not comfortable enough in who they are to know how to handle that, handle being there. They don't know enough about racism, and they don't know enough about classism. They don't know enough about the fact that money can get you stuff where you don't have to have nothing else but the money. See, if your father's name ain't on none of their buildings, those buildings, but their father's name might be on that building, they definitely going to treat him different because they don't want to break off that money thing. But you got to know who you are in and of yourself. So they were so rooted in their blackness that my children were able to take their blackness into that PWI. Okay, so my son and my daughter were on stage in that place drumming and dancing up in that camp. And their father was on stage talking about Nigeria from where he came and all of those kind of things. And up at that school, we did a summer program where we had them little white kids dancing to African rhythms and all of those kinds of things. Okay, and when they had International Day, then we had drummers and dancers from Africa for your International Day, because nothing bothers me more than when people have international days and they name all these countries and then they say Africa. Africa is a continent. So my first response to you is like, what country are you talking about? Right. But we don't even know that ourselves. We don't know that there are 54 countries in Africa. We don't know that. So I don't allow people to minimize my blackness in my face. Okay? If you say
I know that.
That's right. If you say something to me about Africa, my first response is, and what country are you talking about? That's right. What country are you talking about? Because there are many. Okay, there are many. So, and you have to know that and get comfortable enough with that to be able to say that. So all of the experiences that they have had, and I tell people the most valuable experience that they had in their lives was the ability to grow up inside of the rooms of the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum. Okay,
yes, that is impactful because remember,
that's right.
We took the kids.
They grew up there. My children grew up in those rooms. They grew up in those rooms. Okay. David was down there when he was little. We down there when they did the slave ship, and we had to go to the thing and be the slave voices on the slave ship. Okay, for the taping. That's right. He was around. So he was around when they had programming at the Great Blacks and Whites. David used to do Jocko Graves. I don't know if you know who Jocko Graves was. But Jocko Graves, and I tell people I was so glad. And it happens when you know stuff, it makes a difference. Because I was an auditor for the state of Maryland for 29 years. And I used to go all over the state of Maryland, including Western Maryland and all those places. And when I went to Western Maryland the first time, I never saw so many lawn jockeys in my life as I saw up in Western Maryland. But I was able to laugh on the inside, seeing all those little black lawn jockeys, because I know the story of that lawn jockey. That lawn jockey, when George Washington crossed the Delaware, of course, you know George Washington had slaves. Okay, had slaves, and one of them was with him, and that slave's son was with him too. And the slave was they were going to cross the Delaware, and the little boy wanted to go. And George Washington said, I don't think he should go with us. Maybe we can let him stay here and watch the horses. So they assigned that little black boy, the little enslaved boy, to watch the horses. And he was holding a lantern. And he did his job. But when they had come back, he had frozen to death, that little black boy, with that lantern in his hand. And in honor of him, George Washington commissioned the lawn jockey, okay, from Jocko Graves. So when I see a lawn jockey, I say, go Jocko. I don't get offended like I used to do when I didn't know what that was, okay? But that was in honor of a little slave boy who gave his life at the command of George Washington and watched those horses and froze to death in the process. David used to act out that little boy when he was growing up. He even did it one time for the governor, for Glendinning, when he came to the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum. I still got my picture around here, girl, with my children in Glendinning and me, okay? And I used to always tell people, too, I say stuff about my children because one day somebody going to ask me about them, and I'm going to be able to pull out this and pull out that and show you this and show you that, because I was that's what my goal was, okay, to make them be somebody that somebody will want to know about, okay, and how they in my house, the people come to my house, they call it a museum, but the most prominent thing in my house is stuff about my children. In my house, my children saw images of themselves. I remember when my children grew up, my sister said, "I'm a Bob Murray." We was in years or somebody. She said, "I'm a buy Murray a doll." I said, "It better be black." It better be black, because I need them to see their self. I need them to see their self in the book. I need to see themselves in the things that they do. Okay. I was reading a story today about this man he was a school teacher or something, and he had a dream one night, and in his dream it said something about a student would cross his path that one day would be very important, okay, would be very important in society. And then it asked him questions. So what is it that you specifically need to do to help make sure that comes about for that student, okay? And then he woke up, he didn't believe it was a dream and all that kind of stuff, but then he started thinking about stuff, and he said, but how would he know what student it is? And it ended up saying, because they all are that student. So you should do and treat them all in a way as if they will be very important one day, as if they will be at the top of whatever they decide to do one day, as if they might be the first of one day. It's all in how we treat them. You have got to have some expectations, okay? Because some of them gonna rise to them. But if there are no expectations, we ain't got to move. We don't have to try to rise up to nothing. Ain't nothing going on here. If all your expectations of me are negative, hey, and you saying I'm already there, okay. So what I need to do? Nothing. So you gotta expect. I used to tell my children when they were little, and they would say, because David, Lord, he had this thing like he wanted to be a fireman. One day I made the mistake of buying the boy some fireman boots. I had to tell that boy, we going to church on Sunday, boy, take them boots off. He would try to wear them boots. He would try to wear them boots every day. He loved them fireman boots, but I just tell him, you can be whatever you want to be after you graduate from college. That was my answer. After you graduate from college, to everything they ever said to me after you graduate from college was because you must teach the value of education. Not the children don't come here knowing anything. Sometimes they are born and they can't even suckle. So they don't come here knowing anything. They know what we teach them. They know what we show them. Okay. They know what we tell them. All right. So you got to model for them what it is that you want them to be. My children, when growing up with my children, I didn't do anything that they couldn't be a part of. Okay. That they couldn't be. I tell people there's nowhere I go that they can't go. So that means I am not out all night party hardying at the club, pookie wookie, and all that kind of stuff. There's no place I go that they cannot go. And that's a sacrifice. But if you decide that you're going to do something and you want to do it well, you have to make some sacrifices. That
is true. That is true.
You have to make some. Because my other thing was, because I'm going to do all that I can for you. So if something go wrong, then I'm sure I'm not the one you need to call. Okay, because if they got you down at Central Booking, you don't need to call me. Okay, because I did what I was supposed to do. You been like Reverend Thomas used to say, you better use your dime wisely. Don't call me. Call somebody else. That's right, because I gave you what you need to know in order to navigate this thing that we in call life. Okay, to the best of your ability. I also know you don't know who they may encounter I know that too. I
Mm-hmm.
tell my children all the time, you don't know what went on in the life or the home of a child that you may encounter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. So that's why sometimes you need to just smile and say hello and good morning and stuff, because you don't know enough. You don't know enough.
That is so
Okay.
true. So, Mother Deborah, Mama
Yeah.
Deborah,
Uh-huh.
it has been a pleasure because you have been impactful for me.
Okay.
Just even from afar, because I can remember running to get to the Great Blacks and Wax, because your day, because we had Umanji and
Oh
you
yeah,
did
for our closet. Yeah, we did the
right.
first day.
And we had one where it was a social responsibility and getting people in engaged and getting them to understand why it was important. And
Mm-hmm.
the day before, we would be crunched up on the step.
I know that's right. Praying that the fire marshal didn't come in the building and put everybody out.
Yeah, if you had to go to the bathroom, it would be a problem. But we would be
Yeah.
linked to the step, and we would be looking and seeing the different performances and seeing the different, hearing you sing. So I want to give you an opportunity, because I want them to hear your voice. I want you to hear your voice, and then we can do Grindinggang at the end. But I want them to hear you sing.
And I'm just gonna say something short. And this is what I do a lot of times when I do performances, because I firmly believe that we are responsible for and to our children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are responsible. We have got to do a better job of preparing them. And everybody wants to be uplifted.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to uplift our children. We need to appreciate them. We need to celebrate them. And that's why all of my programming generally features young people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see y'all old heads. I don't see y'all do what y'all want to do. I want to see the children.
That's right.
And celebrate the children and give the children the opportunity to hear the applause and to see all the cameras flashing to take their pictures and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So we must elevate them. But I generally start like this. I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride. That's our responsibility. We must do that for them. Okay.
So I'm looking forward for you coming back.
Okay, anytime.
And bringing some people
All right.
so they know more about what time can people come down to the National Great Blacks and Wax? What are the times?
Well, it is open. It's open. They I think they don't open until about Wednesday. So maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Yep, something like that. Yeah, and they I think they generally open maybe around 11. I would suggest that they call to make sure.
Okay.
But they are open. Doing some renovations, but still open.
Well, yep. I'm gonna tell you, that was an impactful experience for me. I went by myself, and then I brought the youth.
Okay.
And remember, we were hearing all the chatter and the families when we had for the drum talk at the center, and just hearing like, oh my goodness. And when they got to really see, and they were taking pictures, and how impactful to hearing the young men versus the young women. And then when we went down to the Harriet Tubman, when we went on that bus ride, and we went.
Oh yeah, that was nice. That was
impactful, because Dallas still talks about that.
Yeah, because one of the things that we do with our after school program, the Growing Girls Literacy Learning Program, is that our young people generally do first person oral history presentations of figures in that museum. Mm-hmm. Okay, because our children need to know about their history. And you need to know more than just somebody's name. You need to be able to talk about it, to articulate it in some degree. So we do that, and we have some phenomenal young people that do everybody from Murray Church Terrell to Harriet Tubman, all kinds of things. But they need opportunities, because they need opportunities to do things and to be rewarded in those opportunities. So I'll let y'all, because I can talk now.
I know, and I'm going to invite you back so that you can bring Mama Kay and everyone
Yeah, so
else.
because I told David I'll bring David the next time, hopefully,
Okay.
and let you
Oh
talk
yes,
to
and
David too.
he's very confident. Because I
Yeah, that's
remember
my
when
boy.
he was getting.
I tell people always tell me, they say, you did such a great job with your son. I say, you ought to meet my daughter.
Yes. Well, it has been a pleasure, Dr. Mama Deborah, and I look forward to having you on again.
Okay, thank you very much.
You. And
okay.
I'm glad that you're a member of my village.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. And we're gonna walk too. Okay. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yes, she is phenomenal. And now we have Willaim Holablew.
Hey.
And he's going to give us some information about Grindinggang, which is very impactful, especially if you're trying to learn about being part of a business or you like some consultation. So give us the information.
Oh, well, first, thank you, Quandra, for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. So that's first and foremost, it's important.
You're welcome. Thank you. So tell us about Grindinggang.
So the Grindinggang is my company, and it's named after what I was seeing as a business consultant. People out there who are just in the trenches, who are grinding, really putting the work in and hustling it and bringing in the cash, where they say was securing the bag. But what I realized is that there was a problem that the Grindinggang had, is that the grind only got you so far. It's like being on the hustle keeps you on the hustle. You don't have an opportunity to build and to get beyond the grind. So what I figured I'd do is pull the Grindinggang together and say, hey, together, because we all have the components that are necessary so that we can take it to the next level. So why don't we come together and figure out what happens beyond the grind? And so that was kind of the philosophical nexus for the Grindinggang. What it ends up being in practical terms is that it's an organization, more like a community, that brings people together who have subject matter expertise. And one of the things we anchor in is the concept of practical genius. Practical genius is this concept that each of us has something that we know. Sometimes is that we know the people that we're around better than anybody else. So that means we have insight in a particular market, in a particular type of person that we can leverage in developing our business. Some of us have other natural skills, like some of us are good conversationalists and may be able to, talk through or entertain people that way. There may be some of us who are great writers or other types of things. And the Grindinggang helps leverage all of your resources or all of your engagement so that you can take your business to the next level and really truly be impactful. I'm gonna let you ask me questions because I can talk about this all the time. I enjoy this part.
Okay, so tell me more. How can a person become involved?
So the Grindinggang, we have a couple of different ways to become involved. So on the one hand, the customers that we service are individuals who are in either for-profit or nonprofit businesses. We specialize in organizations that are small businesses and micro enterprises. And now, if you look at small business, if you looked at the United States Code to find the definition of small business, you would find more than 26 definitions. I want to be clear about what a small business is when we're talking about it. When we're talking about a small business, we specialize in businesses that have less than about $750 or $1 million of revenue a year, and less than 25 employees. We have an expertise in businesses with less than 500,000 in revenue and less than 7 employees. Because what we found is that the conversations that you have with businesses at different levels needs to be different. By and large, hey,
I'm going to invite Mama Deborah back so that she can learn more about Grindinggang because
I was paying attention.
The more the merrier. So what we do is that we work with these organizations to really rethink how they do business. Like when we're doing a business plan, we deal with our philosophy is that, well, a business plan is good, but a business system is better. Because your business plan should be reflective of what you are actually going to do in business. That document that most people look at as the business plan That's just a sales document. That's a document so that you can share what you're going to do in your business with other people in a method and a manner and a template that they can understand. That what I have found is that when people have those many times when people have those great documents, they never look back at them. I've done more than one strategic plan or business plan for an organization. And then I do, annual check-ins like, well, how have you been? Oh, wow. Right. We haven't done that. And it's like, nah, come on. And not just on, my selfish, vanity that, you've wasted my time and I created this masterpiece for you that you should be using. But it is more than where is your organization? Because in the strategic plan or in the business plan, we laid out what the map was. It's kind of like me saying like, hey, I printed you out directions to drive to Cairo, Georgia. And and I call you, 10 hours into your trip and like, well, where are you along the directions? Oh, I don't know. I just jumped on like going south. I know it's south, so I just kept going south. Directions, I didn't even look at it. I left them in. No, ma'am, because you make a wrong turn in Cairo, you might not come back.
True.
And so those are the kind of things that we work with. And the other part is that I'm very upfront, is I think the majority of way that we teach business to individuals, especially nonprofit business, is bull. It has virtually no bearing to real life. We teach them about these art, and the example I use is that an instructor, a business faculty, and when I was working on my MBA, it was like, this is the way where they give you this case study, and this case study, like it's their ideas about what could happen to business. Then they give it to you and they want you to come up with a solution based on the limited information that they've given you. And then they want you to give them back a make-believe scenario to address a make-believe scenario. And if you haven't make-believed in the same way they make-believe, then you get an F.
Yes, indeed. I remember.
and Mama Deborah, and you as well, Quandra, can attest to the real world does not work like that. There's no way where, like, how many times have you all written down, hell, a to-do list, and by to the end of the day, it's to don't. And so getting them to understand this way of thinking, because what we realize is that there are a lot of people who they don't have the experience, mentorship, or what have you about business. So what they're doing is that they're just guessing. It's like, oh, I saw somebody do this, so I'm gonna do that too. Or I read an article by this famous person, and I'm gonna do what they did. I had one young man come to me, and he was saying all he needed to do was to get into a room with some famous people, and he'd be able to get them to buy his buy his service. And I was like, where are you getting this from? He's like, and so this is, and so let me tell you a little bit also about working with me. Sometimes I just say what I think. My filter is so incredibly broke. I have reached an age and enough grades that I don't care. So, exactly what I think. But guess what? If you want to know what I think, I'm going to have to tell you, but I'm not going to make it up for you.
Right.
And so this young man told me, he said, well, I listen to, I read and I listen to stuff like by successful people like Rick Ross. Now, not anything. Rick Rose, he is making money and he is doing a lot of stuff. But the way he boils it down simplistically takes out a lot of the nuances that actually got him there. It wasn't just that he was in the room that made the difference from him getting the contract. It was all of the other things that he did to get in the room. That made the difference. And so trying to head off some of the things like that and getting people to tap into their their practical genius and say, hey, wait a minute. Let's say getting in front of Rick Ross or getting in front of Kodak Black or whoever it is going to take you to the next level. So walk me through what you're going to do. And then what you start to realize is when people start to realize that their plans don't actually make sense. There are things missing. Like, okay, so you're going to show up and say, hey, I'm here. I made it into the room. So how can we do business? I was like, do you have any contracts ready? Who's going to vouch for you? And it's one of those things is, and I am very upfront, and Quandra will tell you that working with me is disorienting. Things don't make sense. It makes me very frustrated, and I just need to make it to make sense. And what happens is that things like that, those aren't those types of things because I understand where they come from. Oh, you okay, Mama Deborah? Did I go out? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay,
Mama Deborah, can you hear him? Can you hear? Can you hear Will?
Her sound went out. How about now?
She was muted. She can hear you, but she was muted.
We can hear her, but she should be able to hear us. Okay, I think she said we're good now. Okay. So getting people to tap into their practical genius about how they navigate spaces, that becomes important because the decisions are yours. As a business consultant, if you make $1 million, that's wonderful for you. If you lose $1 million, that sucks for you. I got to get new clients. And so if I don't have the responsibility of living with the consequences of the decision, it is still your decisions to make. And my job is to help you with that.
Okay. So, Will, I will have you on a show and we can go into greater detail about Grindinggang and the different ways that they can become a part of it as a individual who's starting a business, as someone who has already started a business plan, but you want to review it to make sure it makes sense and is practical and applicable.
You mind if I put something up on the screen so
they
can see?
Sure can.
Cool. I want to show them this.
Oh, okay.
This is
business to the next level.
Yep, taking your business to the next level. We have free membership. You can just visit us at www.grindinggang.com. And we have free monthly events. We have documents that you can download and utilize. I mean, there's a lot of free information there because, and I'm gonna be honest about it. We do a lot of free information because we want you to take the first steps easy at no cost. Because when you're ready to really spend some money, we want you to think of us. We don't want to bleed your pockets before you get an opportunity to make some real money. I think Mama Deborah is having some technical difficulties with her sound system.
I can't hear.
You can't hear?
No, she can't hear. You want to pull her out?
Okay, hold on. And bring her back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear?
Right there.
There you go.
Can you hear?
Can you hear?
Can you hear? No, she can't.
Yeah, I don't hear nothing.
Okay. All right. You should probably just pull her out then.
Okay. All right. So, wow, we went over by 7 minutes, but it's worth 7 minutes.
I appreciate you having me on. I apologize because I talk a lot. So
that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. The most important thing is information, getting everything, because school is going to restart. It's going to start in another 2 weeks, and kids will be going. And then some schools start after Labor Day, but just getting information out here about how important and how imperative community plays a huge role in the development and the rearing of children, but it also plays a role in the development and rearing of being a parent, because we don't know it all, and it begins to develop you as a person, but also it allows you to expand your village. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people in my village that I did not have coming into adulthood, and really understanding what that means. So for that, I'm grateful to have Dr. Mama Deborah in my village, but also to have Will in my village, because there are times when I am pulling my hair out, where there are certain things that just understanding the dynamics of corporate America, of business, of community, and even as an individual now in my 50s, into my 50s, and understanding what I will stand for and what I won't stand for. So absolutely. On that note, it has been a pleasure having Dr. Mama Deborah, who I hope to invite back again, and to you, Will.
No problem.
For that, I'll say thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening, and stay Black. Bye.